Hello and welcome back everyone. We are going to look at a quick VTP configuration tutorial. Right now, as you can see, I have deployed 3 switches here, 2960 switches. So let's get started with the configuration. So right now we first need to configure all of these switches with cables. So let's get started with that. And we can see FA01, FA01 and FA01. So let's get started. We'll start with the VTP server itself. So let's head right in. As you can see that these switches haven't been configured with anything. So let's do a quick show run. As you can see that there's really no configuration on here. The switch is clean. Let's have a look at the VTP status. So VTP show VTP status. Okay, so from here we can already see VTP version 2 is running. There's no configuration revision, so it means that it hasn't received or sent any configuration whatsoever. VTP operation mode is server. This is all by default like this. Alright, now let's start configuring the server, and we'll create the domains and the password and the VLANs that it needs to share with the other switches as well. So let's get into configuration terminal. So from here what we can do is just create the VLANs. So let's say VLAN 10 is our first one, and we are going to assign a name to it, and we'll call it data for our data VLAN. And then let's go right ahead and create VLAN 20 as well. This will be our server VLAN, and we will go ahead and create one more, and we'll call it the voice VLAN. So that will be VLAN 30. Name, and we'll say voice. So all our IP phones can connect to that, so we just have some variety there. So we can go right ahead and exit out of there. So let's have a quick look at what we have done. Show VLAN, show VLAN, do show VLAN brief. Alright, now we can see here that VLAN 10 has been created, 20 and 30. So all of them are active at the moment. Now that those have been done, we also need to do the VTP configuration itself. So let's go right ahead and do that. We'll say VTP mode. So you'll have a bunch of options here, domain, mode, password and version. So let's go right ahead and set the mode first. So mode is server, and it is like that by default. Already VTP server, it will notify you of that, and then we'll say VTP domain, and we're gonna call this test domain. Okay, now that has been done, we've created the domain. Now we need to create a password in order to join the domain. So let's go right ahead and do that as well. VTP password. And we'll put in a word there. Let's use Cisco, something really easy just for the purpose of this lab. Now that has been created, we've created the VTP services, and we've created some VLANs. Now we still need to go and configure the interfaces, the trunk interfaces on these 2 interfaces, so that it can share the VLAN information. Right, let's go into interface, fast Ethernet 0x1, and we'll say right here switchport, and we can do a question mark, and what we can do here is right away just say trunk. So we'll switch that into a trunk, switchport mode trunk actually, switchport mode trunk. Now that has been done, you'll see that the interface comes up. Let's exit out of here. And we'll go into the next interface and do the exact same. So let's go in there and we can say switchport mode trunk. That interface is also up now. We can say exit, and that concludes the configuration part for our VTP server. Let's head over here to switch 2, and what we will do on here is it's also a fresh switch. Let's quickly have a look. Enable, and then we can say show run. From here we can see that there's barely any configuration on here. That is great. Let's do a show VTP status. By default, you'll see that this one is also a server, but it has picked up a test domain. So this is not really good. So you're going to have conflicts later on if you have too many servers that have got different databases that they share with the switches, and that can tend to break things. So let's go right ahead and change this one to a client. And we'll do that from the configuration terminal. Let's head right in and say VTP, and we'll say mode, we'll say client, setting device to VTP client, that's perfect. Then we'll say VTP domain, and we'll say test domain. Now that that has been done, we just need to set the password as well. Password, and that was Cisco. Okay, now that that has all been done, we just need to set the interface as well to a trunk interface. So let's go and do that configuration. So 0x1, and then we can say here's switchport mode trunk. And we'll go right ahead and end that, and then we'll do a show VLAN brief. From here we can see that the VLANs that we've created is now showing up here, which it's synced from the server. And we'll go right into show VLAN show VTP status. So on the VTP status we can see here version 2 is running. That is great. There's no configuration revision there. And the operating mode is now in client. Okay, so that concludes the configuration for this switch. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, and we'll head right into configuration terminal. Okay, now that that has been done, we'll go right ahead and say VTP mode client. We'll say VTP domain test domain. Okay, so that has already been synced. Let's have a look at the VTP password. VTP password, and that is Cisco. Setting device VLAN database to Cisco, that's perfect. Let's go right ahead into the interface. Let's just check what interface this is. It's also FA01. Fast Ethernet 0x1, and we'll go ahead and say switchport mode trunk. Okay, perfect. Now that that has been set, we should be good. Let's exit out of here. That is all the configuration that we need for basically having the switches communicate to each other, so that if there is a new VLAN being added or removed from the switch, the server will then make those changes automatically for you. So let's quickly have a look at the status. Show VTP status, and here we can see that it is currently in client. There's no revision configuration there as of yet. Let's say show VLAN brief. Our VLANs are showing up in the database, which is great. Now let's say you want to add a VLAN to the database, or change a name or something of such sorts. So let's add another VLAN here, and we'll say VLAN 40, and we'll give it a name of printers. printers. Printer, yeah, that's fine. And we'll say exit again, and then we say show VLAN brief. And from here we can see basically that here's our VLAN created. Let's have a look on the other switches if that has been communicated through to them. Here you can see that there are no printer VLANs. So it's a VLAN brief, and you can see this has now been populated through across. So guys, this is very simple, very straightforward. Just a demo on how VTP works. It is very important to always set your switches to which one is going to be the server and which one's going to be the client. There's also another mode called transparent. Usually sometimes it gets set to transparent mode and then it doesn't communicate with anything, but yeah, it's better to have a client switch and a server switch, and only one server switch where you can edit the VLAN databases and populate it from there, and it will then push it down to all of your clients. So this is a really easy way of administrating your VLAN database, and yeah, always remember to have only one server. If you're going to have more than one server, you are going to pick up some issues with VLAN databases being populated to the rest of the switches, especially if it's in the same domain as well. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in. I will be posting more tutorials later on. I hope you guys like this. Please like and subscribe, and thanks for tuning in. Bye.